My name is Peter Esmonde. I'm a documentary filmmaker. Trimpin, the Sound of Invention. The tagline is, open your ears and your mind will follow. It's the profile of a highly creative, highly inventive individual who designs, creates, builds mechanical instruments. So it's really a film about the creative spirit and some of the challenges of that, some of the pitfalls of that, and really some of the joys of that, of being a creative person in a market-driven society. Yeah, I've known about Trimpin for a long time. The impetus for doing the film now was I discovered that they were doing a 25-year retrospective of his work in the Seattle and the Northwest area. And Trimpin was notoriously bad about documenting any of his work, although he's highly influential and well-known in musical circles as well as sculpture art circles. The work was poorly documented. There was very little stuff. He's just a kind of, he's the Energizer Bunny of artists. He's just somebody who wants to keep doing the art. He doesn't care about documentation. He doesn't care about the market. Well, certainly a big impetus for making the film was seeing how a highly creative individual worked and what that interface with the marketplace was. I was really looking at Trimpin as an exemplar, as somebody who I could look to as an example of a creative individual who was trying to negotiate his way through the world in a world that he had created. What is that interface with the marketplace? What is that interface in an increasingly market-driven capitalistic society? So it was a trip being with this guy for 2 years, seeing how he negotiated this, and it certainly gave me a lot of pointers. There are a number of challenges making this film. A number that I foresaw going in, of course. You know, the question of trust with the subject and being able to dynamically document the ongoing relationship. You know, Rivette once said that every film is a record of its own tournage, and that's very much the case here. I have had people who've seen the film say to me that, oh, I can see the relationship between the filmmaker and the subject changed. So I knew that was in play from the get-go, and I knew that was going to be hard-won. So I anticipated that. I anticipated the problem with the studio and, you know, having to be small, having to be unobtrusive. You know, yeah, 6'3" guy in a studio being unobtrusive. Well, you know, figure that one out. The things that I didn't anticipate, curiously enough, was this notion of, I'm a professional, you know, and part of the film crew. I'm a professional, I do it this way, okay? Who are you to tell me how I do my work? And I didn't anticipate that, that reticence to change. People get very tied to roles, and to get them out of that comfort zone, actually into a zone where they can be more creative sometimes, is difficult. It really requires them believing in you, and you giving them the confidence that they can do it, that they can play outside their typical area. What I'm able to do now at this point is look at a project and determine my role and what I want the end result to be, and look at it from the point of view not only of the tools being used or the roles being played, but actually of the entire system. So if I want a certain result, for example, looking at Trimpin, one of the things I wanted to emphasize was that the guy is the Energizer Bunny of artists, that he's perpetually moving, that he's always inventing 5 things at once. And I realized that the best aesthetic for that is a cinema verite approach, where it's handheld, everything's revolving, everything's being revealed now. And that made a lot of sense on a number of different fronts. One of the central things about Trimpin is that he not only sees the world differently than most of us, he hears it more differently. Just walking down the street with Trimpin, he'll pick up on things that even as a filmmaker, you know, in full mode with all systems open and going, I don't notice. What I'm hoping is that people will leave the film with their ears a little more open, hearing the world maybe a little bit more closely to the way Trimpin hears it. So, for example, you know, after the film, going out into the parking lot, hear the squeak of the car doors music, or hear the sound of, you know, of the birds and the way they interact with the sound of the escalator. That kind of thing. That's happening with Trimpin all the time. And if people are like that, you know, even for an hour walking out of the movie, maybe I've done my job.